$5,000 a month sounds like the income of someone who should be doing well, but in the world's most expensive cities, that number can create a strange financial illusion. You earn more than most people, yet rent takes half. Bills take another piece. Few ordinary nights out feel expensive, and saving becomes surprisingly difficult. These are the cities where $5,000 can look wealthy on paper and still feel uncomfortably close to the edge. To understand how this happens, we have to set the baseline. This bar chart represents $5,000 in post-tax monthly income for a single adult living independently, not someone experiencing literal poverty. In the most expensive global cities, the first major expense attacks this budget with remarkable speed. A centrally located one-bedroom apartment immediately consumes between 40 and 60% of the entire monthly volume. What remains must cover a barrage of secondary costs. Utilities, transport, groceries, healthcare, and the basic price of participating in the city quickly slice up the rest, leaving a rapidly shrinking margin for actual savings. $5,000 places a person far above the global median. But a high nominal income only matters when it meets local prices. In top-tier hubs, that purchasing power evaporates almost on contact. New York is one of the clearest examples. Securing a private one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan or a desirable part of Brooklyn demands around $3,000 to $4,500. Finding a lower rent requires an immediate trade-off in commute time or apartment quality. The resident might have less than $1,800 remaining for everything else. Groceries easily require $450 to $750 for quality products, while the unpredictability of premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket healthcare hangs over the rest of the budget. Commuting costs stay relatively controlled if residents rely strictly on the subway, but regional travel, taxis, and ride-hailing steadily increase the financial pressure. San Francisco operates on a similar equation. The city's dense housing market pushes private one-bedroom rentals to between $2,800 and $4,200. Furthermore, basic restaurant meals become unexpectedly expensive once local taxes and tipping are factored in. Transport creates a specific trap here. While public transit works well in selected areas, many residents are forced to combine trains and buses with the heavy costs of car ownership, absorbing added insurance, expensive daily parking, unpredictable fuel costs, and constant maintenance. Surviving on a $5,000 take-home pay in these hubs does not create financial ease. The salary acts as a steep entry fee, a sequence of expensive compromises required simply to access highly competitive urban economies. Across the Atlantic, London applies its own pressure. A desirable one-bedroom apartment commands between $2,200 and $3,500, before factoring in several $100s of heavy daily taxation through council tax, plus high utility and energy costs. Moving farther from the center offers better value, but commuting across London zones can easily cost $200 to $400 a month. To maintain any social spending, many single professionals are forced into flat sharing or living far away from the core. Zurich is expensive in an entirely different way. Salaries are high, the infrastructure is flawless, and public services are dependable. But every single category of life here carries a premium price tag. Intense housing competition pushes rents to between $2,200 and $3,400. Groceries require roughly $600 to $900, while mandatory health insurance and out-of-pocket medical costs act as a constant, heavy drain on the remaining funds. Geneva shares these cost characteristics, but with a highly restrictive housing supply. Premium central properties easily reach $2,300 to $3,600, pushing many workers into a unique cross-border dynamic, where they commute from neighboring France just to afford rent. These European financial capitals provide immense safety and deep cultural access, but the universal premium placed on those services means a $5,000 budget supports a lifestyle that is strictly middle-class rather than affluent. Singapore pairs world-class security and infrastructure with high housing costs. For a foreign professional wanting privacy, a private one-bedroom condominium ranges from $2,400 to $3,800. While public transit is highly efficient, the secondary costs hit hard. Imported groceries, international dining, alcohol, and intentionally cost-prohibitive car ownership quickly dilute whatever money is left after rent. In Hong Kong, physical space itself is the ultimate luxury. A central, well-connected apartment might cost $2,300 to $3,800, but it yields a dramatically smaller footprint than a similarly priced unit anywhere else on this list. Sydney pairs high rents with expensive services and food. A desirable inner-area apartment runs between $2,200 and $3,400, forcing residents into a constant balancing act between enjoying a premium location, frequent entertainment, and managing transit or car ownership. In these Asia-Pacific hubs, purchasing power is dictated by geography and local wealth. Residents are either paying heavily for cubic feet of space, or they are competing against populations where high salaries are completely ordinary. The mathematical trap across these cities is clear. When rent hits $3,000, exactly $2,000 remains for everything else. If rent pushes to $3,500, only $1,500 remains. Here, an unexpected medical bill, flight home, or rent increase instantly zeroes out savings. This razor-thin margin is why highly paid professionals continue sharing apartments well into their careers, or endure long commutes away from city centers. A nominal income figure creates a false picture of wealth. Someone earning $5,000 in a lower-cost economy like Chiang Mai does not have the same economic life as someone earning that exact same amount in New York. One geography forces a choice between luxury and saving. The other forces a choice between basic privacy and saving. This ranking illustrates how a $5,000 budget is consumed. New York and San Francisco are most restrictive. Zurich and Geneva maintain universally high costs. London, Singapore, Sydney, and Hong Kong follow closely, each defined by distinct pressures on transport, services, or restricted apartment size. Yet these cities remain highly desirable. People accept these restrictions for their unparalleled infrastructure, culture, and employment opportunities, and global access. You do not live in a financial capital simply because it is cheap. But the reality remains. When housing consumes the absolute majority of a strong income, true financial freedom becomes incredibly difficult to achieve. $5,000 is a powerful budget. Geography decides whether it feels wealthy, comfortable, or constantly under pressure. We don't just ask how much money you have. We ask where that money works.